Hey guys, so I just got done interviewing Justin DeMers from Click Go Live, and he has a course that is just two videos that he made over $20,000 with and created two streams of income. In addition to that, he gives us some killer tips on how we can use Facebook Live to grow our audience and really connect with them. You're not going to want to miss out on this episode. Have you ever wished you could eavesdrop on a conversation with a millionaire? My name is Michelle Thompson. I'm a retired project controls engineer and business professor, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this podcast. I get to ask the questions that everyone else wishes they could. I'm going to find out exactly how they were able to build their empires through automation and outsourcing. And I'm going to break it down in a way that helps you build your business to run on autopilot. Don't miss out on Automate to Dominate. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Automate to Dominate. Today, we have Justin DeMers from Click Go Live, and he is all-kind video expert. So we're going to tap into his knowledge all about how to do good video, how to get it to convert, but then he's also going to let us into the back end of it so we can see the systems and how he's created multiple income streams off of this one little niche product. So Justin, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm stoked to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to share what I know and help a bunch of people in the process.
So tell us how you got here. How did you become the video guy?
It is a long story. It's over 12 years now of starting out, as a lot of people do, in the wedding space. So, filming weddings is how a lot of people get started, and that's how I got my start. But that quickly transferred into being less about the wedding and more about the couple and more about their story, to then becoming really fascinated with just the process of telling stories. And so out of weddings, I moved over to more like commercial work, branded work, documentary work, working with some very large companies, and being hired ultimately not just because of the visuals looking good or the audio sounding good, but rather the story connecting with an audience. And so that's what I've been spending like a third of my life just dabbling in, and then like devoting my life to, which is just how can I tell stories that connect. And there's a little bit of a science to it, but there's also things that I can transfer. And so right now, what I'm doing is taking all of this experience and transferring it to people who need to be able to connect with their audience to actually grow their business and don't have 12 years to master these skills. So I've bundled it all up into a program called Click Go Live, and I'm helping at this day, a little over 30 days into it, now 100 plus entrepreneurs, leverage simple live videos to attract perfect clients.
And I mean, this isn't like a monster course that you created, right? It's like 2 hours and a couple handouts, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I'm the guy that's bought a bunch of courses that are just collecting digital dust. I have the greatest of intentions, like, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to learn how to, and I'm just like, I'm a dad. I have 2 kids. Like, I got to focus. I got to figure out what do I actually need to move the needle? And then I took that idea and just applied it to my own offer. And so initially it was just a live workshop. So you can just sign up and I'll host the live workshop, on a Zoom call, nothing fancy, nothing. I think I had nice slides and it looked pretty, but it wasn't fancy. And then I just took the recording and I said, okay, now it's available as a recording. And the biggest thing that I'm the initial product, I think part of it is it's not just the information, it's the application. I'm really focused on making sure that people take it and apply it. Because if someone buys the workshop and doesn't do anything, nobody benefits. Because I'm in the business of helping people get results, right? That's what motivates me to keep going. And so I don't want people to buy and then just let it collect digital dust. So my wife and I, she's on our team, she's systems. So I'm creative ideas and she's systems. And so she put these just really simple worksheets out with the workshop so that people know exactly how to implement everything I cover.
So tell us exactly what the workshop is, because we've kind of like dodged around it a little bit, but somebody who's listening and isn't watching us, tell us, what is Click Go Live?
So it is a 2-part formula. When people are first getting started with video, or if you've been doing it for a long time, it doesn't even matter if it's live video, it can just be video in general. People focus really heavily on what they're saying. Like they'll spend the labor over the script or like the actual words that they're going to be speaking with very little consideration around what am I communicating? And by that, I mean, a lot of people think like, I just need to look good. I need to look perfect. I need to look pretty. I need to have great makeup. I need to have my hair looking good. I need to have lighting, all the things. And what I focus heavily on in the workshop is, yes, there's what you say. So part 1 of the workshop is the perfect live formula. I literally give you the exact structure of what to say on your live videos if you want to make sales. But then the next thing is what you're communicating, which is all of the little triggers in video, like subtext is what it's called, that are adding or detracting from your message. And in a lot of cases, it's really eye-opening for people to go through and say like, oh, like I was chasing this idea of what I wanted my lives to be, but actually that was preventing me from making sales. If I just make this quick shift, then I'll actually be able to connect with my audience. And so the workshop content is part 1 is the perfect live formula. And part 2 is the confident live formula. So that when you go live, you know you are confidently sharing the message that will resonate with your audience.
So if you had somebody who was listening to this that just is like, no way, you're never getting me in front of a camera, right? What would you say to all the people that are just absolutely paralyzed and terrified to do this?
This is a great question. Here's the little secret that real sells. And when you have that mindset that I don't have to be perfect, I can just be me, then video becomes a lot easier. I don't have to wear a fancy shirt. I don't have to get dressed up. I don't have to, I can say, which is like, oh gosh, I can say, like I can say like. I walk people through a simple formula to just embrace who they are and who their audience needs to see and hear to actually like want to work with them. And the thing that's amazing is it's not about like perfection. It is not about like gloss. It's about embracing who you are. And then equally as important, who do you want as clients? Because you get to like decide, what do I want to talk about and what do I want to share so that I attract these type of people and then I repel everybody else because they're not my perfect client. And what's amazing is when you're not focused on being perfect, you're not focused on like the social media thing that happens now where it's like only the highlight reel and you just show up as yourself. You separate yourself from the pack. Like that's like a little secret. Like you don't look like everybody else. And then the people that resonate with your message and resonate with what you're saying, like raise their hand. And then it's an easy process to turn that into a sales conversation.
So how does somebody who's really never done video, or they don't even know how to go live on Facebook, talk us through, okay, first of all, how do you go live and can I use my phone? What are the settings? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's literally nothing holding you back. That little device that fits in your back pocket is all you need to go live. And chances are, like, you have also headphones or headset too. If you're outside and there's a lot of noise around, like you don't need like this setup that I'm using right now is fancy, but in a lot of cases, this would actually prevent people from making sales. Again, it goes back to that perfection gloss type situation. So most offers out there can sell with a simple iPhone or smartphone Facebook Live, right? And it's not complicated. There's literally like go live button on your Facebook application. So there's not really settings to worry about. It's really about showing up as yourself. It's about having the right content to share. It's about following a structure that tells people what to do and just being okay that you're going to suck at first. Like, it's going to feel awkward. That's just the way it is. But that's the way it is for everybody. And very quickly you're like, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't suck anymore. This is actually fun. I just had a call with a success conversation with a Click Go Liver today. And he was like, for a year and a half, I'd go live and it felt like I was forcing myself. Like, I knew it was important, but I was like forcing myself, and like I had to like psych myself up to do this. And I just thought like that was just the way it is. Like, I'm just not like a live person, but I know it's important, so I'm going to psych myself up and do it. And then he, watched Click Go Live, and now he's like, I know live is important, but now when I show up, I'm excited to go live. It's not like I'm not forcing myself to do it. And nothing has really changed except like his mindset, which a big part of the workshop. And then also just having that structure that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be like the expert all the time. I can show my family. I can show like what my house looks like. I don't have to make it look like I have this massive team or culture or office, like everything that people think they have to do when they're on video. It's like, I can just be myself. And now he's like post Click Go Live, the stories the conversations he's been starting that are leading to sales are just like amazing. These people like just rose their hand watching a simple live video.
Yeah. And that's it. It's all about the message. It's all about how can you help somebody, right? And when you figure out how you're able to use the thing that you're really good at to help them serve their need, the money just naturally follows. And we get so caught up in, like you said, one of the things that people forget about so much are those ring lights, right? And everybody's like, it has to have perfect lighting, and I have to have a green screen, and I have to figure out how to use the green screen, and and I mean, even we're on camera right now, and you actually did something really cool on Zoom. You have your background kind of fuzzy, so I'm totally going to hit you up to figure out how you did that, because that'd be cool to add. But in the settings and stuff, but it's just you're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just go out there and be authentic and be you. Don't try to, it's like those guys with the they rent the Lamborghini for the day, I think, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, they're just a bunch of like cheesy jerks, right? And everybody's like, oh, they're the sleazy salesman. But like, we take the same exact concept into video, right? Like, we're like, it has to be perfect, right? And it doesn't. Like, just do it.
It's funny. I was on a call, like a training, and this was only like 2 weeks ago, and it was at night, like 8:00. So my wife is tucking in our 2-year-old, and he's not going down that night. So it's just like, okay, she's just going to spend some extra time with him and maybe read him an extra story or something like that. And so I'm on a call like this, but it's video, and my 5-year-old comes in. And he's like, Dad, can I just like sit? It's an office. There's 2 chairs here. I was like, of course. Like, part of like the biggest part of me is that I'm a family man. Like, front and center, every decision I make is like through the lens of, is this going to make my family life better, or is it going to make it worse? And if it like, I don't do it. Which we can totally talk about in the context of the back of Click Go Live and stuff like that, because that's my filter. And so I was like, of course. So here I am. I'm doing this training. It's official. Like, people are like, there's like 20 people on, and my son is like right next to me, and he's playing his Nintendo Switch. And so he's like quiet, and every now and again he like had to peek over and smile and be like, hi. And I think a lot of people would be freaked out about that. Like, it's the classic BBC interview where the really professional man is there.
And it comes
right?
the kid. Yeah.
And it's like, no, like, I'm on camera. It's like, imagine if he had just like been a dad. Like, imagine if he had just been like, is it okay if my kid like stays here? Like, how many more family people would have connected with him, right? And so River, my 5-year-old, is here, he's playing. And then, about 10 minutes, he kind of looks over and he's like, Dad, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, like, you can go to the bathroom. You're like, he's like, no, but I gotta go down here. I was like, well, no, River, if you go upstairs, maybe Mom can help you. Because I knew exactly what he was asking. And he's like, no, Dad, I gotta go down here. I was like, okay, fine, River. What he was saying is, I got to go poop. Right. I can't reach the toilet paper here, so you're going to have to come wipe my butt. That's literally what he was saying to me, like in our language. So I looked at the camera, and I looked at everybody that was there, and I said, I have to go wipe my son's bum. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to come back and I'll answer your questions. But as a family guy, like, I got to go do this. And so I did it, and I came back, and 3 people from that live training had already purchased Click Go Live, like in that time. And it wasn't like a sales presentation. It wasn't like me doing like a hard pitch or anything. It was just me giving value. And I think those 3 people looked at it and said, like, I like what that guy is about. Like the fact that he left this to go make sure his son was okay, like I connect with that. And that is the magic behind video. It's like you embrace who you are. You embrace your imperfections. You embrace that you're like a real I'm a dad. Like I wipe my kid's butt. Like, so what? Every parent in the entire history of being a parent has done that. Like, it's not really that big of a deal. But what it means is the parents that listen to when I talk, like they like, oh, he's like me. Like he's going through the same experiences that I'm going through or that I'm about to go through. And again, in a world of highlight reels and social media, like I got this mansion, I got this car. It's like, there's nothing to attach to that, right? Like as humans, we're always craving connection. We're always like trying to just find people like us who care about the same things we do, who value the same things we do, who believe in the same things we do. And there's like no better way to communicate that as far as I'm concerned than live video.
Yeah. So
speaking, I could not have even
perfect timing. Come on in, bud.
You want to come say hi?
Hi.
Listen to what he just said.
Does he have to go to the bathroom?
He just said, I got to go to the bathroom and then I'll be here.
All right. Hey, you go do what you're going to do.
Oh my God. I may have to pause this.
I'm going to pause it. We're going to pause it right now. Okay. Bathroom crisis averted. So,
not crisis, real life.
That's right. Real life. Exactly. Well, it could have been a crisis.
It's true. It's true.
It was actually funny because I know one of the girls, now that, everybody's kind of home and quarantined right now, her husband decided he was going to be really nice and he was going to like start the dishwasher for her. And he put like 4 times the amount of soap in that he should have. Oh, yeah. So the whole kitchen was like nothing but bubbles. It was awesome. Yep. So yes, we all have real lives. That's great. But I think that's important, right? So, this episode that we're airing now is actually not going to come out until May, but we're probably still having after effects of this whole coronavirus thing, right? Which is what we're in right now. And I think it's so important for people to be real and get their message out there to other people because we want to help each other, right? Mm-hmm. It's not, I don't think there's too many people that are standing on the corner trying to sell hand sanitizer for $20 a bottle, right? Most of us are like, hey, how can we help? How does Click Go Live help somebody be genuine to their audience and tell them they care?
I mean, you just kind of spoiled the secret. It's about being genuine to your audience and tell them that you care. I think a lot of people, like entrepreneurs, we overcomplicate things. Like how many fancy whiz bangs can I include? How can I make this sales process as big and beautiful? And I'm a fan of just simple. Like I'm a fan of how, again, family man, I don't have a lot of time. I'm a fan of like, how can I help people in the fastest way possible? So that is like at the core of Click Go Live. And part of that is
you've also like leveraged your time very well, right? Because you did something once and set it up and now you never have to do it again.
Yeah. And even that, like the process that I used is simple. It's like one platform. There's like every other, like all these whiz bangs you can use and it's fine. But again, the whole premise of Click Go Live is that in your audience, and it doesn't matter how big or small it is, there are clients waiting for you. They just don't know it. They just don't know that that you're their person because they're probably following 3 people like you. They're probably following or friends with 3 other systems people or 3 other Facebook ad experts or 3 YouTube specialists and they're just weighing their options and they're thinking like, is YouTube my next thing? And I think a lot of the people get stuck. I call it the teaching trap. Like, oh, I'm going to differentiate myself by having like tons of content out there that teaches. I'm going to talk about the why and the what, but I'm not going to tell them the how. Like, it's like a common thing. Like, and my whole philosophy and what is in Click Go Live is we don't need to teach people anymore. Like, enough. Like, I don't have time to like learn. Like, and if I'm my client, which I think we should be, like, who do we want to show up as our own clients? It's kind of like who we have to be in life. I don't have time to learn. I just don't. And so the premise of Click Go Live and how it helps is like, there's two types of content you really need to focus on. You just need to do that. And then you'll pull people out of your existing audience. You don't need fancy topics or fancy cameras. You don't need like long lives. They don't need to be 60 minutes or 30 minutes or even 10 minutes. You just need to like connect. You just need to show that how are you actually different from those 3 other ad experts. And if the person watching is like, oh, I like Michelle because she's this person, I'm more likely to like want to work with Michelle and keep working with Michelle while I figure out my Facebook ads, because again, like, it's not just going to be like success out of the gate. And so, I mean, it's just about being simple.
Yeah, that's it. And I want to dive into the systems behind how you built what you did, and what it all looks like, because you're gracious enough to let us kind of see behind the door there. But before I do, you had a really great video series that was just about Zoom calls, right? That offered like a ton of value. And if somebody is gonna start, doing video and things like that, where can they find those videos that you gave out there?
So I actually just turned those into a free mini course. I went even a step further, and I just recorded a couple more, because in light of the crisis that is happening now, a lot of people are moving online, and so that was one way of me like just giving back. So if you go to clickgolive.com/Zoom, then you can sign up for a free mini course. I think there's like 7 or 8 videos, and it just walks you through how to make your Zoom videos look and sound good. I mean, that's an easy thing I can do.
Awesome. Love it. So when you, created your online course, what system are you using to sell it? How did you record it? How are you doing the email platform? Like, what's all the systems behind it that are running it?
Well, everything that's running it is Kajabi. It's literally the only thing I use for the sales page, the checkout, the course platform, emails, everything is through Kajabi. As far as how I created it, it was Google Slides and a Zoom training. That's it. Nothing fancy.
Okay.
And it's designed like the whole one system thing in Kajabi. I know there's like always going to be trade-off, right? When it's like one thing that does everything versus 10 things that are like focused on making that one product better. But for me, I just wanted something that I could tag people in if they signed up as a lead, or I could follow up with them if they didn't purchase, or I could see their process, because I have a couple things that people can buy. Like, what have they bought? What have they not bought? And I just love everything is one dashboard. It just works. And again, I'm simple. I'm a simple guy, and so.
You're even doing your email and everything through Kajabi? Awesome.
Everything, yeah.
That's killer, man. So for somebody who's just starting out, like, and is so overwhelmed by tech, like, here's one platform, and do you mind if I tell them how well you've done in the first couple of weeks?
I mean, sure.
Is that okay?
I mean, you can round it.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. Well, he's done very well.
I think I'm cautious about of like sales numbers, because I think a lot of people look at that and they think like, I'm going to do that. Like, I just launch and I'll make $50,000. I'm not at $50,000 for this offer yet, but because that's what a lot of people promote. Like, you can make $50,000 and I'm the type of person that's like, I've been doing this for 12 years. So this isn't like a 3 weeks in, I've made this much money. It's like 12 years and 3 weeks in, I've amassed this amount of skill. But what I will say is, I'm just shy of $20,000 with this launch. And it's a $37 product. And I think that's kind of like the cool thing is a lot of people, especially in 2020, are like high ticket, super expensive. Like that's the way to start. And if you're just getting started, like that can be really intimidating to charge a lot of money. And then more than that, also be responsible for that amount of money. Like someone has invested $4,000 or $5,000 in their services. Like you have to show up at a different level than when you're charging them $37. And so with this offer, it's automated, right? People just buy it. I can run ads to it. Like they're converting to cold traffic right now. But it doesn't take me away from my family. Like it doesn't take me away from being here for dinner or taking my kids or building a play structure like we're about to do in a couple hours. Like, and yet I'm still making sales and I'm still impacting the people who are buying it. Like it's still a great offer that's helping them.
Yeah. And so you not only have that income stream, but you also have, you've created an additional one with like a membership, right? So you have, you've actually created 2 streams of income with this. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people miss this idea that like information is one thing, but implementation is completely different. And so they'll make this amazing course or workshop or whatever, and they'll like put it out in the world, and then they'll just be like, why aren't people getting results? Like, why aren't testimonials filling my inbox? This is amazing. Nobody's talked about this. This is the greatest thing since this. And yet, like, what's happening? And so, I mean, I've been part of that. Like we talked before, and it's like I've bought things that just kind of like collect dust, right? They're all the greatest intention. I spent thousands of dollars on them, and they just sit there on my computer, or a login in 1Password. Like that's literally all I have for thousands of dollars is a login in 1Password. And part of that is like support implementation. And so I have this workshop, and on the back end of the workshop, you get an invitation to join the membership. It's called Live Lab. And that is where I am in like daily doing a couple of things. But the biggest thing is just making sure you actually implement, because if you implement what I teach, you will get clients. But you won't get clients if you just buy it and don't implement it. And so I have a membership on the back end, and I design the deliverables that I do on a monthly basis around a specific, either a specific theme or focus. But more than that, I have little challenges that I get people to do that actually like gets them to implement it. And some of them are uncomfortable. Some of them are like uncomfortable challenges that are tied to the workshop, because those are the things that people will not do unless you challenge them. They'll just delay it. They'll put it off. It's awkward. It's whatever it is, right? One of them could just be going live in a public setting. Like there's a lot of people who will not go live in a public setting, right? It's just scary. What if someone judges you, or what if someone asks what you're doing? But in a lot of contexts, and going back to like what you're saying and what you're communicating, like you really do need to be in public settings for some lives. I have one person who's a nutritional coach. And so he did a live video yesterday, and it was amazing because it was in a grocery store. And so he's in the pharmaceutical aisle, and all the children's Tylenol and all is sold out everywhere. Symptomatic care. But like the fresh vegetables and the fresh fruit, preventative care, are like stocked. And he's like, how is this okay? Right? Like you're buying all this Tylenol in case something goes wrong, but you're not buying all these things to prevent it from going wrong in the first place. And there's no way that message could have been communicated from his office, right? You had to see it, right? And that's like one of the challenges is like go live in a public setting. But it's powerful because once you do it and you're like, wait a minute, nobody cares. Like nobody judged him. Nobody said stop. Nobody said anything. Now you just have like this free reign of like, wait a minute, where else can I go live? Like how else can I get my message out there?
Yeah. And that's, actually I'm guilty. I've never gone live in public. Like I can get on camera in my office all day long because it's a nice controlled environment, but you take me out in the world and, what if somebody says something to me and then I'm like,
I'm challenging you.
I was thinking about.
No more excuses. Tomorrow or today, you go live somewhere public.
Okay.
Because again, it goes back to like, wherever you go, right? I mean, obviously things are changed right now because you can't just go wherever you want to go. But let's say you're a nature person and you go live in a park. Like, it's just like, if you're in your office talking about being a nature person, it's not going to connect the same way as you actually being in nature talking about being a nature person. And so I'm challenging you. This is everyone can hear this now. When they listen to the podcast in, a month and a half or whenever it is, they'll be able to go back and see, did Michelle go live in a public space?
All right, you can. And you know what? I'll even one up it, because, the more I'm sitting here thinking about this, I'm like, you know what? We had this slated to drop in May, but I'm going to drop it now, because people need to hear this, because we're all sitting in our homes and everybody's afraid to get their message out, and we don't need to be, right? So people need to hear this, and they need to hear this now. And I mean, it's universal, it's good, but I think it's very timely, and so we're gonna do it. We're gonna drop it.
Cool. And then they'll know if she went live in a public space.
That's right. I gotta figure out where the live button is. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So if you guys just want to recap real quick, like we talked about being, authentic and natural and being there for your audience, but, just how it's real simple. How can you help people, right? Real simple. And so, Justin's made a way for $37, which is ridiculously low, to be able to figure out how to authentically get your message. So, you're on Facebook too, right? What's your Facebook? How can they find you on Facebook?
It's I think it's just Click Go Live. Like, if you just search Click Go Live or my name, Justin DeMers, should show up. That's the thing. Maybe a little parting message for me is, I don't have a big audience. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm just getting started, like, this sounds good in theory, but I got to wait until I have a following. It's like, I think I have a total of like maybe 50 likes on my page. Like, I mean, they're humans, so that's good. But like, I don't have a big audience. And I think, like, again, I just like, in your audience, there are people who need what you have to offer. You just have to show up. You just have to, like, just let them connect to something that is human, and they'll raise their hands. And if anything, like, hopefully you see, like, my little tiny offer with my little tiny audience has done a tremendous amount of sales. And I am who I am. Like, I on this podcast is who I am on my Facebook Lives. Is who I am on my page. Like, I'm a family guy, got 2 kids. Sometimes I have to go wipe their butts. Like, okay. Don't have fancy cars, don't really live in a fancy house. I'm just passionate about what I do, and people pick up on that, and they want to be associated with it. They want to be a part of it. And so if you're sitting there, you're listening. Like,
absolutely why I wanted to do this interview, because you weren't afraid to just step out and take action. And, so many people think, oh, I have to have it perfect, right? But it's all about, learning steps and everything. And, you were just a killer example of this. So I couldn't wait to get you on here. So thank you. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm stoked.
Yeah. Awesome. So, you guys can hit up Justin at clickgolive.com. We're going to drop this episode right away, and hit him up on Facebook, check him out, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to the Automate to Dominate podcast at www.awesomeoutsourcing.com/podcast. My name is Michelle Thompson.